we're going to talk about the XML sitemap settings of Yoast SEO. Yoast SEO has what we think is the most powerful XML sitemap functionality currently available for WordPress. But the thing that we really don't talk about enough is why you should have an XML sitemap. Because it's a lot of work to have one, for us, not for you, but they're not really all that useful altogether sometimes. There's two reasons why you should have XML sitemaps. First of all, you're giving all of the URLs on your site to a search engine. This means that a search engine will get all of the URLs on your site faster. It will index your site faster. If you're a news site or a blog or anything that relies on speed, then this is absolutely what you need. The second thing you get is that you get feedback in Google Search Console on the URLs in your sitemap about whether they see things that go wrong. Because of how we've structured our sitemaps, you actually see that per section of your site, per post type and per taxonomy. So you see it for category URLs, for tag URLs, you see it for post URLs, for page URLs. That can be very useful. But those are the only two reasons to have an XML sitemap. And one of the most important things that people sometimes misunderstand is that a page without links from other pages on your site will never rank, even when it is in the XML sitemap. A page needs links to rank. So Google might discover it through your XML sitemap. It might index it. And when you do a site colon query with the URL of that page, it might be in its index. But it will never rank for anything meaningful if you don't link to that page. So an XML sitemap is not something that improves your ranking. It's absolutely not that. So at the same time, you should really check the post types tab of this XML sitemap screen and see whether there are post types there that shouldn't be in the index. You wouldn't be the first that uses an obscure plugin to do invoicing or something else that has post types that aren't meant to be public set to public, and Google would index all your invoices, or Google would index all your client data. This has happened to us, this has happened to tons of other people. It's why we have this tab that allows you to say, okay, we don't want these in the XML sitemap. But that is what we call a quick fix. The real fix is making sure that the post type that is not meant to be public is not set to public. When you have XML sitemaps, the very useful thing that you get is Google Search Console and the settings in there. In Google Search Console, you go to Crawl and then Sitemaps. And there you can add your sitemap if you haven't already done that. Be sure to add the index sitemap, not the specific ones below that, but the index sitemap that our plugin generates. Then submit that and you'll get a screen that looks something like this. A screen that has the different types of sitemaps on your site and tells you how many URLs were in each one of them and what types of things it contains. The sitemaps we generate contain URLs for the posts or pages and whatever. They also contain URLs for all the images in those posts and pages. There is a couple of things that you really need to know about those XML sitemaps. No indexed URLs, so URLs that you have explicitly set to not show up in Google search results, will not show up in your XML sitemap. If you don't want them to show up in the search results, it doesn't make sense to prioritize them using an XML sitemap for indexation. So we don't let them show up. If you have redirected a URL, we will not let it show up in your XML sitemap too, because you only get a warning in Google Search Console saying, hey, you have this URL in your XML sitemap and it's being redirected. The reason we do this is because other XML sitemaps plugins, and that's why we wrote our own, don't have an integration like that. They can't say like, okay, so this URL is no index, we take it out of the XML sitemap. That's why you need to use the Yoast SEO functionality and not use another XML sitemap plugin. Now, we know that XML sitemaps are sometimes slow, and sometimes even so slow that servers cannot generate them. There's a couple of things you can do. Implement proper server-side caching. Run a caching plugin within your site, something like WP Rocket, WP Supercache, W3 Total Cache. They all work for this. And decrease the number of URLs per sitemap. That's actually the only setting on the first tab of the XML sitemap settings page. If you decrease that from like 1,000 to 500 on most, even the cheapest hosting, it will usually work. There are also some other common issues that you can run into. If you run into any of those, make sure to go to kb.yoast.com, our knowledge base, and just search for the error you're getting. We have pages written up about basically all of the issues that can happen. Thanks.